Morning, everyone. I've got an offering for the day, this live stream. And I guess what it is an invitation to learn about something that's called shadow work, where we look at our shadow side. And this doesn't come quite as easily to folks like me and a lot of people I know, because we're Westerners, we're North Americans, and a lot of us are Christians. And every religion has its strong points. For instance, Christianity does forgiveness better than all the rest put together. Islam really is the very best at submitting oneself totally to God. Does better than Christianity. Sorry, facts are facts. And studying the shadow side and doing shadow work probably is best done by Eastern religions and probably most of all Hinduism, where in the deities they acknowledge good and bad, sacred and evil deities. And there's just sort of an understanding, for instance, in the Bhagavad Gita, the primary scripture of Hinduism, that for almost all of us on the planet, we have a shadow side and we have a good side. We are a combination of holiness and devilishness, demonicness, and that we're wise to try to smooth those things out, make peace with the demons so they don't bother us. It's implied in Christianity. When Jesus has a conversation with the devil, he says, "Get behind me, Satan." Sort of be at the spot where you will pester me the least. But even in Christianity, he doesn't say, demon, devil, Beelzebub, you're dead, you don't exist anymore. The fact is, the demonic does exist in the world. And the Bhagavad Gita also says that there are a few people, there are those Jesuses that are so pure, and even less incarnate deities than Jesus, the Mother Teresas of the world, really don't have to spend that much time on shadow work. And then conversely, the most evil people on earth don't have any good with which they can self-examine themselves. So a person like, I just looked online, who's the most evil person of all time? Adolf Hitler still wins the prize, according to most online polls. Adolf Hitler is the worst person of all history. And the idea is that he had no capacity to be self-reflective. He was so completely possessed by his narcissism, his weird ideas about race, his sensuality. Just basically, he had not a single healthy habit. Even his taste in facial hair is kind of bordering on the psychotic. I mean, the guy was just a complete. The suggestion is he had no good with which, no deity within, with which he could do shadow work. Now, what is shadow work? Shadow work is calmly considering and acknowledging first, acknowledging that there is one, and then considering in a healthy way our broken places in the past. And what we're going to do is, like Isaiah, we're going to make the rough places smooth through our shadow work, looking at our dark places, the dark places that are still not fully healed from our past, the resentment of that person who did something cruel to us or lied or betrayed us. We all have them. And we also have stories where we were cruel or lied or betrayed or manipulated others. It's okay, and it's better than okay, it's healthy to acknowledge our shadow side. Because until we make peace with it, it actually will be bigger. It will be acting on us, and sometimes in ways subconsciously, making our life worse and the life of those around us worse, the people we love or total strangers. Everybody's negatively impacted if we don't do our shadow work, our getting in touch with what's amiss within us and trying to bring it into the light, which is extra fitting right at this moment in beautiful Las Vegas. I'll tell you, what a day. So, a few tricks here. You think, okay, you've made your sale, Chris. I'm ready to do my shadow work. How? Well, it's different for different people. A lot of people are very happy and comfortable with going to a psychotherapist and discussing issues and coming up with new habits of moving forward, making the rough places smooth, releasing, forgiving. And other people, equally good, healthy people, say, I could never, ever share that kind of thing with a complete stranger who's collecting $175 an hour from me that I don't have. And that's legitimate too. There are options. Journaling, which is writing a diary specific to these considerations, these shadow sides in our life, is a great way to go. And you probably think, I've tried that before. I guess I would say, try it again and look to see what your blocks might be on journaling. I know for a fact, a lot of people think, I never can write this stuff down because I'd be afraid somebody would read it. I'm afraid somebody would see my diary, my journal, where I'm talking about how I did this hideous thing in my past that I wish would just go away. Well, you have options there. For instance, you could write that all down and then burn it. Please do so in a responsible way, knowing that burning is illegal here in Las Vegas, Nevada, and likely many of the places where you live. But put it in a nice metal trash can. Write that letter to your parent, to your ex-spouse, that says, here's how I still hurt. Here's how I'm still confused. Here's what I wish I had done better. Be honest. Get it all out, because you can tell yourself in advance, nobody's going to read this, and only God can see me doing it. And believe me, God is supporting you in this exercise. And burn it afterward if you're concerned at all that anybody might see it. Get rid of that concern. The goal here is to lighten your being and not create more burden. So if that diary sitting in your desk creates burden, you don't want to do it. A cousin to that, akin to that, if journaling still seems like too much of a privacy risk, and I want to say in advance, I acknowledge this sounds borderline insane, but I would like to lift up talking to yourself, almost as a form of prayer. I'm not saying do it all day, every day. That would be kind of weird when you're in the elevator. But there is a value to saying out loud and hearing your own voice some of the most challenging topics in your life. And you think, well, I live in a city, there's no place I could speak to myself and not be heard, or I live in a house with 6 other people. I hear that. There are options, however. Even in houses where there are others, there are times when those others are out eating or at work, and you might have a moment at home where you're completely alone. And you could, while the shower's running, just speak quietly and say something like, I wish I had been kinder to so-and-so. I wish I hadn't said that demeaning thing. And you can say what that demeaning thing is. You're not reinforcing it, that capacity in yourself to be demeaning or insulting to others. No, you're releasing it. And hearing it out loud, sometimes you think, yeah, that isn't me anymore. I have moved forward. I'm a kinder person than that. I'm a better listener than that. I'm far more respecting of others and self than that. I can fully lay that down now. I can be done with that shadow place and quit letting it act on my subconscious, making me feel worse about myself and or others. And of course, an obvious thing for a pastor to say is to pray about it. And on the topic of prayer, know that your shadow side is not going to be as, what's the word I want? Frightening or shocking to others as you might think it is. Trust me, I know a lot of shadow sides from a lot of people, and really kind, good people have done terrible things, thought terrible things. You are not alone. If you feel deeply injured by someone else, you are not alone. And God will provide for you, should you ask God, a community in which you can have that discussion. You can say, I wish my father hadn't abused me. And when God sends the community, that person will hear you without judgment, but just embrace. I have one more little addendum too, when we're doing our shadow work. This is so common, especially among good people. They'll start doing their shadow work and they'll think about something that really upset them, or something that still is a weight upon them, and they'll suddenly cut it right off and they'll say to themselves, oh, think of the world right now. There are people who are starving. They don't have clean water to drink. This is almost conceited of me to have this thought that there's something amiss in my life. If I were a better Christian, I would be more concerned about so-and-so in that other country and go to work right now and do nothing but help the food banks here in Las Vegas. Don't think that way. And remember this, if your primary concern is for the food banks here in Las Vegas, or to get clean water in little villages in Africa, even if that is your primary goal, you're actually best off. Oops, do we just turn around? Oh, I'll talk and you can see where I'm looking at. You're best off if you do your shadow work and get rid of these blocks inside you, which also block your charitable impulses. But don't stop your shadow work because you think other people have it worse than I do. So that's a big, long rambling on doing your shadow work, getting in touch with the dark side. But I hope you give it a try. And if you need pastoral assistance, as always, I will give you that ear or pray with you as Spirit might guide you. All right. God bless everybody. Bye-bye.